5 true home invasion horror stories.
1. The wind howled outside as I sat alone in my dimly lit living room, engrossed in a book. The only sound was the occasional crackling of the fireplace. It had been a long day, and I was eager to unwind. Little did I know that the serenity would soon shatter. Suddenly, a faint scraping noise echoed from the window behind me. I paused, my heart racing, dismissing it as just a branch brushing against the glass. But then the sound came again, more deliberate this time. I turned, and there was a gloved hand, fingertips barely grazing the window pane. Panic surged through me. Adrenaline coursing, I dashed to the window and slammed it shut, locking it with trembling hands. My breath hitched as I peered out into the darkness, searching for any signs of movement. Shadows danced ominously, playing tricks on my mind. As I stood there, a chilling realization crept over me. Someone was trying to get in. I stumbled back, my mind racing. What should I do? I reached for my phone to dial 911, fingers fumbling as I struggled to keep my composure. Just as I was about to hit the call button, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained to listen. Silence. Then, the unmistakable sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoed through the hallway. Every creak of the floorboard sent shivers down my spine. I needed to hide, to find a safe place until help arrived. I crept through the room, seeking refuge. The tension in the air was suffocating, every nerve on edge. I found myself in the closet, huddled in the corner, clutching a baseball bat. I could hear the intruder's movements growing closer, as if they were deliberately taunting me. The closet door creaked open, and a sliver of moonlight revealed a masked figure standing before me. My breath caught in my throat, and the world seemed to freeze. Time slowed as we locked, eyes fear and determination battling in the darkness. With a surge of courage, I swung the bat, connecting with a sickening thud. The intruder stumbled back, groaning in pain. I didn't wait to see the result. I bolted from the closet and raced out the front door, the cold night air hitting me like a jolt. I ran until I reached a neighbor's house, pounding on the door in a frenzy. The police arrived soon after, combing through my home and finding the would-be invader incapacitated on the floor. As the officers took statements and secured the area, a sense of relief washed over me. The horror was over, but the memory of that night would forever be etched in my mind, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk just beyond our doors. 2. The clock on the wall ticked away the minutes as I lay in bed, my thoughts wandering into the realm of dreams. The house was silent, enveloped in a calm darkness. But soon, that peace would be shattered by an unwelcome presence. I awoke with a start, a feeling of unease settling over me. I glanced at the digital clock on my nightstand, 3:00 a.m. Why was I awake at this hour? I strained my ears, listening intently. Nothing, just the soft rustle of leaves outside and the distant hum of a passing car. Convincing myself that it was just a nightmare, I shifted in bed, attempting to return to sleep. But then I heard a faint creaking from the hallway. My heart quickened as I strained to hear more. Footsteps, deliberate and slow, echoed through the darkness. Panic clenched my chest as I realized I wasn't alone. I reached for my phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed 911, but no call went through. The signal was dead. Frantically, I slipped out of bed, my bare feet cold against the hardwood floor. I tiptoed toward my bedroom door, praying that the intruder hadn't heard me. As I reached for the doorknob, a shiver ran down my spine. The doorknob turned on its own, and the door swung open, revealing a shadowy figure standing just beyond the threshold. My breath caught in my throat as I took in the sight. A tall, hunched figure cloaked in darkness, face obscured by a mask. Frozen with fear, I stared into the abyss of that mask, feeling the weight of the intruder's gaze on me. The figure stepped forward, their movements slow and deliberate, like a predator closing in on its prey. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The intruder moved with an eerie grace, stalking me through the dimly lit hallway. Each step I took, They marched with an unhurried pace, their presence a haunting presence that seemed to seep into the very walls. I darted into the living room, desperately searching for a way out. The room felt oppressive, shadows dancing along the edges, and the air grew cold. Every corner held the potential of danger. I could feel the intruder's eyes on me, a palpable malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. Their breath seemed to whisper against my ear, though they remained just out of sight. I stumbled upon the shattered remains of my phone, rendering me utterly helpless. I was trapped, alone, with this relentless stalker. My mind raced, seeking a way to escape. The window. I turned toward it, but as I did, a hand grabbed my shoulder. Icy, cold and unyielding. I spun around, coming face to face with the masked intruder. Time seemed to stand still as we locked eyes, their gaze devoid of humanity. A scream tore from my throat as I fought against their grip, desperation flooding every fiber of my being. Just as the situation seemed utterly hopeless, a beam of light pierced the darkness as police sirens wailed outside. The intruder's grip slackened for a split second, and I seized the opportunity, breaking free and rushing toward the front door. The intruder retreated into the shadows, disappearing as quickly as they had come. The police stormed in, but the house was empty. The nightmarish encounter had ended, leaving me trembling and forever haunted by the chilling knowledge that evil can silently slip through the cracks and stalk even the sanctity of our homes. The night had settled in, the darkness outside punctuated only by the distant glow of streetlights. I was engrossed in a movie marathon, cocooned on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, but the sense of tranquility was short-lived, shattered by a faint tapping at the front door. I glanced toward the door, puzzled by the noise. Maybe it was just the wind, I thought, trying to dismiss the unease that had settled in my gut. But then the tapping grew more insistent, rhythmic, and deliberate. My heart quickened as I realized that something was definitely amiss. With caution, I crept toward the front door, the tapping now echoing like a sinister rhythm in my ears. Peering through the peephole, my breath caught as I saw a group of figures, their faces obscured by eerie masks. Panic surged through me, a cold sweat breaking out across my skin. "What do you want?" I called out, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. No answer, just silence, broken only by the tap-tap-tap of their fingers against the door. My mind raced, searching for a logical explanation, but there was none. These masked individuals were here for a reason, and it wasn't anything good. As if sensing my growing unease, the figures started to spread out, positioning themselves around the house. Their movements were calculated, their intent chillingly clear. I darted back from the door, my heart pounding in my chest. My phone was in the living room, my lifeline to the outside world. I needed to call for help. But as I reached for the phone, a sharp crash echoed from the back of the house. My blood turned to ice as I realized they had already found a way in. Adrenaline surged through me as I clutched the phone and retreated further into the house, my mind racing for a safe haven. I locked myself in the bedroom, my breaths coming in ragged gasps. I dialed 911, my voice barely steady as I explained the situation. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, but the minutes dragged on like hours as I listened to the muffled sounds of the intruders moving through my home. Footsteps approached the bedroom door, the sound growing louder with every passing moment. My heart felt like it was about to burst from my chest as I held my breath, my back pressed against the wall. The doorknob jiggled, and my stomach dropped. They were trying to get in. Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced the air, growing louder and closer. The intruders froze, their masked faces turning toward the window as they realized their time was running out. With a final, menacing glare, they retreated, disappearing into the night just as the police cars screeched to a halt outside. The police swept through the house, finding no trace of the masked group. They assured me that they would increase patrols in the area and urged me to stay vigilant. As the sun began to rise, casting a weak light on the aftermath of the night's terror, I couldn't shake the feeling that the threat still lingered just beyond the reach of my understanding. The masks had hidden their identities, but the horror they had brought into my home would forever remain etched in my memory. 4. The night was still, a heavy silence hanging in the air like a shroud. I lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, lost in my thoughts. The moon's soft glow filtered through the curtains, casting eerie shadows on the walls. But then, an acrid scent wafted into the room, a smell that twisted my stomach into knots, the unmistakable odor of smoke. My heart pounded in my chest as I shot up in bed, eyes wide with alarm. Panic gripped me as I realized that something was terribly wrong. My gaze darted around the room, searching for the source of the smell. And then, I saw tendrils of smoke curling in from the edges of the closed bedroom door. Adrenaline surged through me as I swung my legs over the side of the bed, my mind racing. There was a fire in the house. Without thinking, I rushed toward the door, my hand reaching for the doorknob, only to recoil in pain. The metal was scalding hot. Panic rose within me, a desperate urgency to escape the impending danger. I grabbed a towel from the bathroom, wrapping it around my hand to shield it from the heat. As I twisted the doorknob, a rush of smoke poured into the room, choking me. Coughing and gasping for breath, I stumbled into the hallway, my eyes stinging from the acrid fumes. Through the haze, I caught a glimpse of flickering flames licking at the walls, the fire spreading with an unsettling voracity. Fear clenched my chest as I realized that this was no accident. Someone had set my home ablaze. But who and why? I rushed to the front door, my heart pounding, the heat intensifying with every step. The handle was blistering to the touch, but I managed to wrench it open, stumbling out onto the front lawn. The night air was a blessed relief, but the sight that met my eyes was horrifying. A figure stood at the edge of the yard, bathed in the glow of the flames. My blood turned to ice as I recognized him, a man from my past, eyes filled with a manic determination. He had come to destroy me, to erase everything I held dear. As the fire crackled and consumed my home, I watched in helpless horror as he walked away, disappearing into the night. The fire department arrived soon after, battling the flames with a fierce determination. But the damage was done. The sanctity of my home violated and destroyed. The investigation that followed revealed a web of hatred and revenge, a twisted motive that left me reeling. The man had harbored a grudge for years, and he had chosen fire as his weapon of choice. The scars ran deep, not just in the charred remnants of my home, but in the memories of that night to night when the very walls that had once provided solace had been turned against me in a fiery onslaught of terror. 5. The moon cast a faint, ghostly glow over the quiet suburban street as I locked the front door, preparing to settle in for the night. A chill ran down my spine, but I brushed it off as a trick of the mind. After all, my neighborhood was known for its safety. I made my way to the living room, sinking into the couch with a sigh. The soft hum of the television filled the room, the only company I needed. But then, a sound pierced the air, a soft rustling, like the whisper of leaves in the wind. I strained to listen, my heart racing as the noise persisted. Unease settled in my chest as I scanned the room, searching for the source of the sound. Suddenly, a shadow moved, just at the edge of my vision. My pulse quickened, and my breath caught in my throat. Someone was in the house with me. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I reached for my phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed 911. But as I pressed the call button, the screen remained black, no signal. Panic surged within me as I realized that I was cut off from help. I tiptoed toward the front door, my footsteps silent on the carpet. Every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo like a warning. I needed to escape, to get out of the house before whoever was lurking in the shadows could find me. Just as I reached the front door, a hand grabbed my shoulder, and I let out a strangled scream. I spun around, heart pounding, to face a masked figure, their eyes gleaming with malice. My mind raced, and I lunged toward the door, my only thought to flee. But the intruder was faster, blocking my path with a swift movement. Fear seized me as they advanced, their grip like iron as they grabbed my wrist, their fingers digging into my flesh. I struggled, desperation giving me a surge of strength, but their hold was unyielding. With a guttural growl, The intruder threw me over their shoulder, carrying me effortlessly as I kicked and fought. My mind raced, and I knew I had to find a way to escape. I spotted a heavy book on the nearby table and seized it, swinging it with all my might. The book connected with a sickening thud, and the intruder released me with a pained grunt. I stumbled back, not wasting a second as I sprinted toward the front door. My fingers fumbled with the lock, and I burst outside, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The cold night air hit me like a slap, and I didn't stop running until I reached a neighbor's house. They called the police, and soon the area was swarming with officers. But when they searched my house, they found nothing, no trace of the intruder remained. The ordeal left me shaken. The feeling of vulnerability seared into my memory. The knowledge that someone had invaded my home, my sanctuary, with the intent to kidnap me was a horror that would never fade. And though I had escaped at night, the fear and the echoes of footsteps in the dark would remain with me forever. Which story caught your attention the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay safe. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out my website in the description below to see what I'm writing. And just below there are some suggestions related to what we talked about today. Peace.